Hey, Glovelies, and welcome back to Glove Actually. I'm Courtney, and this week we are going to break down everything about the NL Central. That's right. We are coming to the end of our Divisional Roundtable Series. We've got one more episode after this, and this week we're going to be joined by some more special guests who are going to help us break down everything we are looking forward to with the incoming 2026 MLB season fast approaching. But as always, if there's anything you want to hear us talk about here on the podcast, be sure to leave it in the comments and be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to the Glove Actually podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and Amazon podcasts. And be sure to turn on post notifications to stay in the loop when we post new episodes every Wednesday. All right, Glovelies, this week, Hallie is going to be your moderator for the majority of the episode. However, you may hear my voice every now and again. So enjoy the episode. Take it away, Hallie.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. So today we have fan representatives of the teams from the NL Central. So we're going to go ahead and get them introduced. They're going to tell us a little bit about themselves and what makes their team so special. So we're going to start things off with our guests introducing their Pookies of the week. Chris, would you like to get us started with your Pookie this week?
Hi, I am Chris Northrup, and I'm representing the Cubs.
My Pookie of the week is actually plural. It's Pookies of the week. I chose the Bregman family. They were so cute when they came to Chicago. Alex and his wife, she's wheeling a stroller and they have a little, I think he's 3 years old. And he ran in through the front door of the Cubs facility into the waiting arms of Clark the Cub. And it was cute. It was such a wonderful moment. And it was clear from there that the Bregmans were going to embrace the city, and they have. They made the circuit of all, they went to the Blackhawks, they went to see the Bears game, obviously. Alex finally seemed human and interesting to me. I think everyone knows, it's Alex Bregman after all. It's the Astros history behind him. But, he seemed human to me with his family, and it was just a wonderful moment to see them enjoying the love in Chicago.
That's lovely. How fun. Laura, do you have your Pookie ready this week?
Hey, this is Laura Jost, and I am representing the Cincinnati Reds.
My Pookie of the week is Sal Stewart. So Sal came to us September 1st, 2025, made his debut with us at the Reds. I was at the game. So he shows up in September, has an amazing game, brought so much energy and love. I remember thinking he's kind of built like a catcher. He was a rather stocky fellow. So what does he do during off season? So he showed up and debuted his new physique at the Reds Fest. So we had the return of Reds Fest, which brought a new svelte Sal Stewart, who lost 26 pounds since the end of the season.
Very nice. New team, new me. Teresa, who's your Pookie this week?
Hi, I'm Teresa Goplin, and I'm representing the Brewers.
If possible, can I have 16 Pookies of the week?
Sure.
Is that too many Pookies?
No
I am
such thing in my
fortunate
opinion.
I'm fortunate enough to be in Arizona right now at Brewers Fantasy Camp. And if you've never been involved or heard of a fantasy camp, it's a bunch of former players that come back and provide an immersive MLB experience for anybody that wants to. So my husband is in his third year. This is my second year out here, and we've got 16 coaches. They're divided. The guys are divided up into 8 teams. There are 16 coaches, and it's these guys that we have grown up watching. Corey Hart and Jeff Jenkins and JJ Hardy and Rick Sweet from the Nashville Sounds and Vinny Rottino and Tim Dillard and on and on and on. So I think it is just the coolest thing that these guys still love and respect and want to be part of the Brewers organization so much that they dragged the lion's share of us out of bitterly cold Wisconsin, and are hanging out with us for the week in Arizona. So
what a perfect way to escape the tree exploding cold.
Yes.
All right, Lovelies. So I have a very special guest who's going to be presenting about the Pittsburgh Pirates today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Yeah. My name is Bryce Whitlow. I run the Hall of pretty good on social media, and I am representing the Pittsburgh Pirates today on Glove Actually. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're going to own the Pirates one day. It's going to happen.
Of course.
All right, Bryce. So for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who's your Pookie of the week this week?
Yeah, so I had a couple in mind. You know, I went for a Pittsburgh Pirate route and then one guy who has nothing to do with baseball, really. So first, I would like to do Cabrian Hayes. He's no longer on the Pirates, but he's a player I really appreciate, you know, for his defense versatility. You know, if he could just hit league average, he'd make some waves. He's on the Cincinnati Reds now. I'm excited to see what he can do with him. And then moving away from baseball, my Pookie of the week outside of baseball would have to be actor Matthew Lillard. You know, one of my favorite actors of all time. Quentin Tarantino was talking some trash on his name a few months ago, you know, saying he didn't like his acting. I disagree. Phenomenal actor, you know, so Matthew Lillard, Cabrian Hayes, my two Pookies of the week.
I love that. Matthew Lillard is one of my celebrity crushes. I'm so glad that makes me so happy.
And Jonathan, who is your Pookie this week?
Jonathan from the Redbird Rundown podcast talking about the St. Louis Cardinals.
I'm so excited to do a first Pookie of the week here. Okay. You guys have all had awesome answers. I'm going to go with our new president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. Chaim Bloom has come into a situation that needed to have something happen, right? We've kind of been stagnant, the Cardinals, for the last couple of years of maybe signing some veterans and trying to continue to push into the wild card, and something needed to change. And by gosh, he changed it. He's traded off several of our key players over the last couple of years. I think a lot of people in St. Louis have embraced him for doing that. I know it's not popular to go into a rebuild, but I think he's done it really effectively. And the Cardinals just had their version of Reds Fest. Laura, it's Cardinal like what is it? Winter warm up. That's what it's called. And Chaim was there, huge reception for him. So I think the cities are embracing him and what he's doing. So Chaim is my Pookie of the week.
Excellent. What a lovely assortment we have this week. And Glovelies, if you would like to tell us who your Pookie is this week, make sure to tag them if you can in the comments. Okay, everyone, we're going to move on to our next segment here. We're going to go one by one and go through what makes your team so wonderful. Are we okay to start with you, Chris?
Absolutely.
I would love for you to start with your current favorite active player.
My current favorite active player is Aaron Judge.
Known Chicago Cub, right?
I know. And if I had to, I mean, the thing is, I am dual nation. I'm a Cub fan because I grew up a Cub fan, but I married a rabid Yankee fan. I'm more than sort of. I'm a Yankee fan and I'm a Cub fan. And Aaron Judge is my favorite player. I can't help that. He's just, you know, that I was looking, I think they came out today with lists of, I don't know if it was the top 100 or 50 or whatever. Judge came out, depending on the list, at number 2 after Ohtani or number 3. And I wouldn't have any problem with him being number 2. I can't remember who they had ahead of him. And I love Ohtani as well. So Judge is my favorite player. Which player am I most excited about this year? I think I have to be most excited about, if I'm talking about a Cub player, definitely Nico Horner. I'd love to see Nico repeat what he did last year. All eyes are on him because it's his walk year. Really, the Cubs infield, just in general, is going to be pretty awesome now that Bregman's joined in.
What do you think the biggest obstacle facing the Cubs is going to be this season?
Well, the biggest obstacle facing the Cubs is going to be continuing to develop the young players at the major league level. They have a mix of veterans and young players like Matt Shaw, who they're bringing in. They're gonna move him around in the utility role. It sounds like Pete Crow Armstrong will continue to develop and grow. Just in general, I think the development of the younger players, maybe that's not an obstacle, but it's something that they're going to need to grapple with in order to hit that next level if they're going to beat the Brewers and go farther in the postseason.
And what's your favorite thing about the team?
Oh, my favorite thing about the Cubs is the quirky history. I mean, just the quirky history of this team. I love the curse, the story of the curse, and the fact that over the years there were a number of attempts to break the curse. In 1973, the owner of the tavern that, originally the guy that originally brought the goat to Wrigley Field, his nephew tried to bring a goat in with a sign that said all is forgiven, and he was denied. In 2009, a Greek Orthodox priest came in and blessed the dugout with holy water. None of these things obviously worked. Evidently, in 2015, competitive eaters ate a 40-pound goat in an attempt to break the curse. And then we all know what happened in 2016. And that was just a perfect combination of players, managers, GM, front office, everything coming together to make, everything work. But the quirky history is what I love.
What are some unique things about the stadium's fan experience, or maybe an upcoming giveaway next season that you're looking forward to?
I think some of the unique thing about Wrigley is it's Wrigley. And, I have to say, I've only been to Wrigley once, and I had a seat with a pole, and that is a feature of Wrigley. So I spent most of my experience going like that, which is what happens when you go to baseball game in an old stadium. Some of the upcoming promotions, I'm sure that there will be promotions to celebrate Bregman. Definitely there's going to be promotions around the 2016 team, because they'll be commemorating them with some kind of, I don't think it's a statue. I think they decided against a statue, but they're doing something this summer. And that's my favorite thing that's going to happen, is when they commemorate the 2016 team.
Very nice. Do you have a most memorable moment from the 2025 season?
Yeah, definitely. How could we forget Moises Ballesteros going up to the plate, hitting a home run to Anthony Rizzo out in the bleachers, and he drops it. It was so funny. Of all things, that he hit the ball to Rizzo, of all people. And then for Rizzo to drop it. And Rizzo's comment was, well, that's why I'm retired.
Excellent. Do you have a favorite sports memory with your team?
A favorite sports memory? I love the image of Sammy Sosa running out with that flag. That's just going to be a favorite. How could anyone forget that? And I loved that moment. So I'd have to say that's probably my very favorite.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, Laura, are you ready to share?
Yeah.
Who is your current favorite active player?
So I changed my mind. Initially, I was going to put De La Cruz, because seeing him live is absolutely amazing. He is so fun, so fast, such a delight to watch. And then I thought about it, and I'm confidently changing my answer to Spencer Steer. So Spencer came to us in September 2022. He's only played with us. I think I was at that game in 2022. If I wasn't at his first game, I was there the first week he played. And he is such an amazingly nice guy. And he has been such a accommodating utility player. He is happy to show up. He brings such kind energy. He's really trying to be a good team player. Right now, the infield, they're making all of these moves, and amazing team players. Sometimes they know, hey, I'm going to play great wherever you put me. And so that leads into my next question.
Who are you most excited to watch play this year?
Sal Stewart. So he lost the 26 pounds, and I feel like he would do a really good job at first base, and with Steer going to outfield, he would do, there's also talk of him at third base, but we have been lacking an anchor at first base since Joey Votto left us. And I think Spencer Steer brings the energy to the outfield, and Sal Stewart would do amazing at first base, would just bring the enthusiasm and energy and commitment to it. So that's what I'm most excited about this year.
What do you think the biggest obstacle the Reds are facing this year is going to be?
We need to score some runs. I know I definitely sound like Yogi Berra, but our pitching is getting pretty good, but we need some offense. And it happened so many heartbreaking times. The second half of the season, our team may as well have been most left on base. We just need some good, consistent, safe batters. I'm all about safely getting to base. We need some bats, as they say.
What is your favorite thing about the team?
There is nothing in my life that I cannot remember liking, like baseball. One of the coolest things about both of my parents is that they are baseball fans. We moved to Cincinnati, so I grew up, I don't remember not going to baseball games. And so I grew up very spoiled, 8, 9 years old, watching some of the best baseball ever with the Big Red Machine. Yeah. And my mom taught me how to score games, the history of it. I know all of like the weird, quirky things about baseball. We are the oldest team. We have the enthusiasm. We have the energy. We are the first professional baseball team that hired deaf players. We had an outfielder named Dummy Smith. He came to Cincinnati because we have a very strong deaf population at that time. And he was out in the outfield and he wanted to know what was going on in the infield. So guess what was invented in Cincinnati? Hand signals between pitchers and catchers.
Oh, that's so cool.
So those are little weird, quirky things that I love about my team.
So it sounds like there's a lot of things that could make the stadium experience especially special and exciting.
So I am a huge fan of Bark in the Park. I brought my current dog, who's doing a very good job of sleeping, and Spencer Steer was very nice to my shy corgi on the field.
Aww.
And you get to like literally bring your dog around, and they have a large section of the baseball stadium where you can hang out with other dogs, and it brings such a joy. Runner-up will be August 1st, Tito's bobblehead day, which is my birthday, right around my birthday. I will be there hours before.
What do you think was the most memorable moment of the 2025 season?
September 1st, 2025, Sal Stewart, MLB debut. His parents were there, of course. He gets a single at his first at bat. I'm starting to like tear up thinking about it. Like, what a dork. And he ended up scoring and did like the Pete Rose head first slide into home base. And then they show his parents who were like super crying. And he got up and then like did like the whole cheer of enthusiasm and energy. Like seeing that live was just amazing. And now he's all spelt now, but he'll be my Pookie.
And what's your favorite sports memory with your team?
I'm going to say 1990. Cecil Fielder hit 51 home runs for the Tigers. Ricky Henderson had an amazing year with the Oakland A's. It takes a team to win a World Series, and we went into the World Series as the underdog and swept all 4 games and won it with our nasty boys. They were very nice boys, but they brought a swagger to baseball that I had not seen in many years. We were the underdogs and we swept them.
Lovely. Oh, I have chills. Teresa, are you ready to discuss the Brewers?
I am, yeah.
Who is your current favorite active player?
Currently, Bryce Terang. He's a Platinum Glover from 2024. When he first came up, joined us at second base, but he had done an interview. It was a print interview, and he talked about his sisters and that he has sisters that played ball before him and how he learned so much from them. And I thought that was cool then and cool now that he gave credit where credit's due to watching older siblings. When I've coached my daughter's team for years and years and years, I've always said that. I thought that was cool that Bryce gave that credit to his sisters. So last year, after coming off of winning the Platinum Glove, and everybody has the highest of high hopes, and he did an amazing job. I feel like he's a really cerebral player. I think he's a player that younger kids should try to emulate because he does the little things right. It doesn't hurt that he's got amazing natural talent and he's just an amazing natural athlete. So I'm excited to continue to watch him grow.
Is he who you're most excited to watch this year?
Him, along with one of our most recent All-Stars, Jacob Mizrowski. The kid came into the scene just as an absolute phenom. I'm excited to see the maturation of Mizrowski.
What do you think the biggest obstacle facing the Brewers is going to be this season?
We have such a fun young team, and I think we saw a lot of success last year by playing small ball. We bunted the ball. We moved batters over. We took chances. We stole a ton of bases. It was fun to see other teams be surprised by that, but they're not going to be surprised this year. So keeping that same level of energy, but also we're going to have to find a little more magic because teams are going to have started to figure us out and are going to continue to dig into that.
What's your favorite thing about your team?
I think just the fact that they are homegrown. I mean, there's something special about Midwest teams, as I think we can kind of all attest to in this division, that the Midwest is for baseball. I can, drive an hour from my house and I'm at the Field of Dreams. And I grew up, my dad played fast pitch softball. I mean, I'm a ballpark rat. Our kids play ball now. We just kind of live and breathe 162 games a year plus. And, I think that what to us feels homegrown, because we are bringing them up and developing them in a really robust, really, really good farm system, I think is my favorite team. There's something magical about a Saturday evening game, and, the kid's family is all in the stands and he makes his debut. And there's something that, like I said, just it's magical.
Very nice. What are some especially unique features of your stadium's fan experience?
Tailgating, of course. That's the first party any kid goes to, I feel like. At AmFam, there's ample opportunities for tailgating. One thing that is pretty cool that I have never done myself, but I know is available, is that you can do the stadium tour and you can slide down Bernie's slide. That's always a highlight when somebody hits a home run. Bernie comes sliding down the slide. So as fans, you do have the opportunity to do that. So that's pretty cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Are there any 2026 season giveaways or events you're looking forward to?
Yeah, there's 2 giveaways that I think are pretty cool. Let's be honest. Last year, when Pat Murphy pulled the pancake out of his pocket on that Friday night game on Apple TV, what's going to top pocket pancakes? But 2 giveaways that are pretty cool this year. One is Milwaukee Brewers Guess Who game. That's pretty cool. And then a bar dice set, which is quintessentially Milwaukee. I mean, everybody has to. Last year they did a cribbage board, which was that was really cool.
That's
so
fancy.
I think a bar dice set will round out the Milwaukee nostalgia very nicely.
Do you have a most memorable moment from the 2025 season?
I do. There was a day, it was a Sunday afternoon game, and the Pirates were coming to town that Monday for a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series. But that Sunday afternoon game, about the 7th or 8th inning, they announced that Paul Skeens was going to be pitching against the Miz at that Wednesday game. And Wednesdays at Miller Park for senior citizens get in half price. So it's always a really good turnout, a really big turnout. So I knew that tickets would be scarce, and my husband was gone. He was golfing that afternoon. I reached out to him and I sent a message. I said, "Hey, I'm going to get tickets. Do you want to go?" And then I thought, I guess I really don't care if you go or not. I'm going. So, and we live about 2.5 hours from the park. So it's not like a real quick jump in the car and be there in 15 minutes. So I called my mom, who is by no stretch of the imagination is this woman a fair weather fan. She is a hardcore Brewers fanatic. So I took my mom, my aunt Jane, and one of my mom's lifelong friends and one of her college friends. So the 5 of us went. We got great seats right behind second level, the 200s, right behind home plate. And this was a game that I remember looking around about bottom of the 3rd inning and thinking, nobody has moved. Nobody moved. Nobody went to the bathroom. Nobody went up and got a beer, which is saying something in Milwaukee, but nobody moved. It was like everybody knew what a special game that was to have Skeens and the Miz pitching against each other. And it was really neat to have those ladies there with me and to experience that. That was cool.
And what's your favorite memory of your team?
Probably my mom, dad, my brother, and I went to one of the very last games at County Stadium before we moved over into then Miller Park. And I've got a picture of it in my office. And it was kind of closing the door on the memories I had when I was a little kid at County Stadium, and then making new ones as an older kid. So
very nice.
So, Bryce, talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates, I would love to know, who is your favorite current active player?
Yeah, favorite current active player. Of course, I want to say McCutcheon, but I feel like it's been a lot of drama there. But I got to go Ryan O'Hearn. I know, I'm with the Ryan O'Hearn lovers. I
was going to say, you're in the right audience to talk about Ryan O'Hearn.
But I mean, looking at O'Hearn as a player, jokes aside, he's the exact type of player I love. Maybe not in the MVP conversations, but he can make an all-star team. He can be an elite hitter. hitter. He handles first base really well. I think he's going to have to handle the outfield this year, but I think Ryan O'Hearn, he's going to figure it out. He's been through a lot of struggles in his career, and he's in a good place now. So Ryan O'Hearn, he's new to the city, new to Pittsburgh, but he's got to be my favorite current Pirates player.
Always going to sign off on a Ryan O'Hearn. I'll endorse that 100%. So is Ryan O'Hearn the player you're most excited about this year, or is there anyone else that kind of has your eye?
Yeah, he is. Another name, I'd like to see how Brian Reynolds can bounce back. Hasn't been himself last year. So, and I do think he's a phenomenal player, switch hitter. There's not much not to like. Defensively and speed-wise, it's not quite there, but he's always been able to hit. And so I'm really interested to see how he can bounce back. And I think he's going to have a good season, and I hope he does. I'm wishing him all the best.
For sure. We're manifesting a good season for Brian Reynolds. Okay, so obviously there's been a lot that's been facing the Pirates, especially over the last couple of years. So what do you think is the biggest obstacle that's facing the Pirates, and what are a couple of moves that you would make to kind of overcome that?
Yeah, it's got to be pitching. I mean, they have Skeens, but then it's like who else? And that's not to disrespect anybody on the team, but you got to get 27 outs each game. I'm not quite sure where those 27 outs are going to come from for 162 games. One person I would really like to see them go get, I think he's healthy right now, like Lucas Giolito. I mean, he could give you probably 150 innings, maybe even more if he's fully healthy. He was good in Boston last year. Health was a concern at the end of the season. I think he's fine now, but he's just sitting there on the open market at the time of this recording. I know he could probably sign any minute, but I feel like there's a ton of bubble teams. The Pirates, they were clear they want to make some noise. They did make some noise, but why not put the cherry on top and go get a guy like Lucas Giolito who can start right after Skeens in that 2 or 3 spot in your rotation? It makes a lot of sense to me personally.
So aside from the fact that we will own them one day, what is your favorite thing about the Pittsburgh Pirates?
It's the stadium. My parents took me when I was 15, I believe, like a family vacation to Pittsburgh. I love it. I've been to Fenway. I've been to Camden Yards. I've been to quite a few parks, but PNC Park has kind of stuck with me, getting to walk on those yellow bridges, getting to pose with the Clemente statue. It's a beautiful place to go watch a ball game. I know depending on where anybody is geographically and money wise, it can be hard to get to a ballpark, but if it makes sense for you to go to PNC and watch a game, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, it's a beautiful place to play baseball.
Kind of going right into our next question, what are some unique things about the PNC fan experience, and are there any upcoming 2026 giveaways that you're super excited about?
One of the things that is most unique about PNC, it's got to be just that view. I mean, it's so beautiful. You see, those bridges, just I love everything about it. I went, like I said, as a kid. I've never been able to forget it, as a teenager. I'm looking into the giveaways. I'm honestly not a huge giveaway type of guy, but I try and go, I remember when I was a kid, I went to a Braves game and they gave out a Freddie Freeman bobblehead, and it's still on my dresser to this day. So anything bobblehead related, I will definitely be there for. So, I'd love to go on a bobblehead night, just something like that. Big collector of things like that.
For sure. We are manifesting a Ryan O'Hearn bobblehead for next season, maybe. So
that would be
cross our
great.
fingers. As far as the 2025 season, obviously Paul Skeens took home the Cy Young Award. What was your most memorable moment for 2025?
It wasn't maybe a specific moment, but one player I really liked watching was Jared Triolio. I loved his defensive versatility. You can kind of plug and play. I believe he has a gold glove under his belt. When I would tune into a Pirates game, he'd be the one guy I would look for. Like, where's Triolio? Where's he playing at? That was kind of a guy that I always had my eyes on in 2025 with the Pirates. One of my favorite players. Seems like a good guy too. He's easy to root for is my best way to put it, I feel like.
Final question in this kind of like dive into the Pirates. What is your favorite sports memory of the team?
Oh, this is an easy one. Anytime I get asked about the Pirates, I think of this moment. It's the wild card game. Johnny Cueto is on the mound, and the whole crowd is chanting, Cueto, and they force a balk on him. I mean, that has to be one of the greatest sports moments ever. I love those one-game wild card series when they were happening. Just an amazing fan moment, and I feel like I watched that, and I'm like, how can you not love the Pittsburgh Pirates? Just a fan base that when they're good, they show up. Even when they're not good, they're still there. They've got the faithful. It's just a team that I want to see the Pirates succeed, really. Like, I hope they can get back to that sooner than later.
For sure. And I think that they've got a lot of those pieces to make it happen this season. So we're manifesting good things for the Pirates.
Yes, without a doubt.
Perfect. Well, before we move on, is there anything else you want to say about the Pirates?
I would like to see them, I think they are a pitcher or two away from being in wild card contention. I think this is a team that's close. And also, I want to see Connor Griffin start on opening day. Let's just do it and give him a pre-arbitration extension. Sorry, that's more than one thing, but the Pirates they feel like they're exciting to talk about for the first time in a while.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Bryce.
Jonathan, are you ready to answer some questions about your team?
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
All right. Who is your current current favorite active player?
All right, so on the Cardinals, I'm going to go with Mason Wynn, kind of an electric guy, known for his big arm, throws pretty fast over the diamond. I think he's the next face of the franchise guy for us in this weird era that we are entering in as Cardinal fans, where we're going into this rebuild, which is not something we're familiar with. But he's got the right attitude. He's got the right charisma. He has a high amount of like entertainment value, right? He plays the prime position of shortstop where kids will be drawn to that, right? Like a dynamic center fielder or a dynamic shortstop is always really entertaining. And I know Laura knows something about that with De La Cruz. I'm going to go with Mason Wynn.
Very nice. Would you say he's who you're most excited to watch this year?
He is, and I know that's kind of bland, but I'll tell you why. So he posted last year like a 3.5 WAR season, which is really pretty solid. But he was hurt like 3/4 of the season. He had a torn meniscus in his knee that he didn't reveal until later on. He said, I read this, I couldn't believe this, that he had been feeling this pain since the middle of May.
Oh my gosh.
The middle of May, buddy. That's like a third of the way in, a fourth. So he posted Gold Glove defense and was not a liability at the plate. Towards the end of the year, you could tell he was tapering off. But I thought, boy, it would be nice to see a full year of health from him to see if he can really make 3.5 or 5. You know what I mean? Does he make the next jump up? We'll see.
Sure. What do you think the biggest obstacle facing the Cardinals is going to be this season?
I think winning games. I think that's the biggest obstacle we're going to have. But honestly, I think it's pitching. We're in a very, again, unknown space where we're giving a lot of young guys an opportunity, which is when one part very nice to see, as opposed to, signing aging veterans towards the end to try to, stopgap something. So pitching wins things. I know we've heard about Mizorowski. We know the Cubs have made some additions, and the Reds already have a good pitching staff. Pirates have Skeens. We have some unknown names. So we're going to get to see what they're made of. I think, honestly, I would rather we don't make any moves to change it, truthfully. I like this era for the Cardinals so that we can figure out what it is that we have. So there's my non-answer. I want us to just stick with what we're doing. I'm cool with it.
What's your favorite thing about your team?
And actually, I added on to my answer after hearing all these awesome answers. This has really been interesting to listen, truly, to everybody's responses. But the Cardinals have a pretty rich history of all kinds of stuff, right? From Stan Musial, the Gas House Gang, Bob Gibson, a lot of cool stuff that when you go to the ballpark and you look around at the retired numbers, it's really a large swath of cool history. I think that's really awesome. And then right now, my favorite part is that we are trending to be young and trying to do something different. I think sometimes these legacy tentpole organizations like to hold on to the past. They like to continue to try to keep the, quote, window open, right? And I was afraid we would enter into this time sort of rudderless, where we just do a bunch of stuff that doesn't really make sense, but we're trying to cling on to hope. So I'm glad we finally just ripped this Band-Aid off and decided to just go ultra young and just see what kind of talent that we have.
What are some unique things about your stadium's fan experience?
The one that comes to mind immediately that really makes Busch Stadium interesting is Ballpark Village. I don't know if anyone has been to Busch Stadium, but it is really neat.
It is really neat.
It's basically, to summarize it quickly, the Cardinals Hall of Fame is in there. There's a lot of really neat memorabilia and artifacts. I mean, we're talking about all the way back to the St. Louis Browns and some of the very, very early parts of baseball in St. Louis. And it's really like meticulously done, and they walk you through at a really good pace to see everything across the history of the organization. But the stadium in general, I don't know why, I like brick stadiums. So I think that I'm gonna say Ballpark Village, and I think that the Busch Stadium is pretty.
Is there a 2026 giveaway you're looking forward to?
Yeah. So I this right here, what I have on for all the listeners who can't see this, it's just like a generic Cardinals like hoodie, zip up hoodie. I got this free at a game, and I swear I wear this thing every day. It's just like an around the house loungewear type of stuff. So on March 28th, they have like a Cardinals pullover, and I know if I went to that game, I'd have that and wear it for like 15 years. But I'm just a sucker for like these things that are kind of big. It's like an extra large, but it's just cool. I have it.
What was your most memorable moment from the 2025 season?
Okay, so I wrote this down not knowing that we'd have like a pseudo Yankees fan, Chris, here. You like the Yankees. We played them at Busch Stadium this year, which is still weird to me that the NL teams play all the AL teams and like vice versa every year. You're used to, like, if you're a Cardinal fan or us, you see the Yankees like every decade. So anyway, so we're playing them, and Victor Scott II is our center fielder, who's very fast. He's been very dynamic, a great center fielder defensively, that is. And Aaron Judge comes up, and this is the only team he has not hit a home run against, obviously not the Yankees, which was very random. I had no idea. So we're thinking he's 100% going to hit a home run. Well, he gets up and he cracks one over the right field wall. Well, Scott is shaded over to the left, so he's got to run 75, 100 feet. He tries to jump and rob the ball. He crashes into the wall and it glazes off the top of his glove and it goes over the wall for Judge's first home run against the Cardinals. So it was like this incredible almost play where he almost robbed this home run. He ended up hurting himself. He went on the injured list, but it's one of those plays when you watch on TV that you're thinking like, is he going to get to that? Like, is he really going to get to that ball? He did, and you look at the replay and it's just so crazy that it barely got off his glove. So
wow.
Aaron Judge got one, but he had to earn that one extra hard.
And do you have a favorite sports memory with your team?
Yes. I think the easy one would have been David Freese, his triple in the 2011 game 6 of the World Series, that we came back from the death, the grave, and won that World Series somehow. But the one that I always remember is, so Albert Pujols, I was blessed to watch him in his just ridiculous years with us until he fell off literally the face of the earth for the Angels. But he came up against Brad Lidge. This is in the playoffs in 2005, the NLCS. And he hit a home run off Brad Lidge that I'm sure is still going. Like, it went up over like the train tracks in Houston. And I watched that video prepping for this today, and I still can't believe like how hard he hit it and like just the air that deflated out of the stadium. It's one of those peak like Pujols moments that his swing was so sweet. And I know everybody on here is like hated him, I'm sure, at some point in your life, but it was a true joy to watch like a Hall of Famer, for so long. So any of his highlights, I think back and I'm like, man, those were the good old days.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Our top 5 this week is going to work a little different from our regular episodes. We're going to bring up a couple different categories, and everyone is going to name their number 1 favorite of that category. And we'll start things off with Chris's number 1 favorite baseball park snack.
Nachos. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Laura, what's your favorite baseball park snack?
I have a very specific answer. A veggie hot dog served by Katie, who is a long-term volunteer concessions person. I have to go to her. I'm sure she's like, why do people know my name? I don't have a name tag.
Well, obviously, you're there every time. You get from her every time.
Yeah.
Teresa, what's your favorite ballpark snack?
Always go to roasted pecans. We always park in the same spot. We always walk in and it's like, bam, it hits me. Oh, I'm at the ballpark. I need to go order these every time without fail.
Understood.
All right, Bryce. So I got to know, what is your favorite ballpark snack?
It used to be just a regular hot dog, but I've kind of turned into a guy who likes getting nachos at a baseball game. The chips with just the cheese that you dip them in. I've started to really like that, and I've noticed, I went to maybe a few MLB games last season. I always got nachos, so I'm starting to think, that's maybe the snack for me as I move into my mid-20s.
There you go. Your tastes mature with you. I love it.
Matured from hot dogs to nachos.
Jonathan, what's your favorite baseball park snack?
This is a recent favorite of mine, and I'm not going to call this a snack. I'm going to call this a meal because this is really extra. I visited with my wife Camden Yards this last summer. They have a crab mac and cheese hot dog. It's a hot dog with mac and cheese and crab meat on top, and it just sounds like it doesn't need to happen, but it was so wonderful, and I'll never have it again, and I'll be okay with that. It was like a one-time experience where you knew it was going to kill you, but you had to have it. That was it. That was my favorite thing. I couldn't believe it. 10 out of 10. You just can't believe it's a thing. You walk by and you're like, is that what that says?
All right, moving on to possibly the most controversial of our top 5s, sexiest mascot. Chris, are you ready to start us off?
I am the sexiest mascot. And Teresa, I think you might agree with me, is the Milwaukee Brewers auxiliary mascot, Barrelman. I thought he was so adorable.
You just know he's hiding something under there. You don't know what it is.
Yep. Laura, who do you think the sexiest mascot is?
I had enough time to cram, and I listened to your episode 3 about mascots and nearly peed my pants in enthusiasm when you both said at the same time Rosie as the sexiest. Yeah. That made me. But my answer really has to be, and this is a shocker, Southpaw. Why is Southpaw my favorite? So I found out about this podcast because my friend Danielle, was your White Sox fan. She got married in Chicago the first week of January. It was, I'm not exaggerating, like -20 degrees. She had Southpaw walk her down the aisle as a surprise. And I got to hang out with Southpaw, and he literally showed up at this tiny venue to walk my friend down the aisle. And then we partied for a minute, a little bit afterwards. And Southpaw's got some swagger. He's very green, though. It's a little strange.
Excellent. Teresa, are you ready with who you think the sexiest mascot is?
I'm a little embarrassed that my brains didn't automatically go to any one of the racing sausages, but I keep going back to Mr. Met, especially now after he just violently stole Freddie Peralta from me. I'm kind of a little mad at him, but I just kind of keep going back to, I don't know if it's because he's from the big city or I don't know what it is.
So Bryce, I gotta know, who do you think is the sexiest MLB mascot?
I had a mascot actually pop into my head right when you asked that. The Oriole Bird, I mean, he looks kind of jacked. Like the Oriole Bird looks like he works out. You know, he looks like he could bench press me. You know, I know muscles maybe don't always equate to sexiness, but in this case, it works for me. So I got to go with the Oriole Bird.
Jonathan, who do you think the sexiest mascot is?
All right, so I'm very disappointed. I don't know that many mascots off the top of my head. Like I know the famous ones. I didn't know Rosie was a thing, and I just looked that up, and that's awesome. Let me make a case for you why Fred Bird is the sexiest. Okay, because it's definitely not. But let me make this case for you. Have you seen his body just in general? He's shaped like, if you look like in a chemistry set, you know, like a beaker that's like skinny on the top but fat on the bottom. That's Fred Bird. So if you are a person who is attracted to that, this is your guy. He goes around and he shakes his belly. This is your person right here. If that's what you want, Fred Bird's got a lot of love to give. So I don't think I convinced literally anyone, but I'm going to say Fred Bird.
Good answer.
Okay,
a new
you.
answer. Chris, who is your favorite silly goose player?
Definitely Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah.
He is nuts, and he's even more nuts now that he's retired. And I love that about him. Rizzo it's all in good fun, and he's just a good guy.
Laura, who's your favorite silly goose player?
So I came up with a technicality. They're all baseball players, so I feel like it counts. MLB Silly Goose Play. So we had a strange three-way trade. Skyline Chili, one of our claims to fame, which is actually served at all ballparks. They have a strange dish, Greek chili, which is very sweet, with cheddar cheese over spaghetti, and they call it a three-way. So we had a three-way trade where we said goodbye to Gavin Lux, and we got left fielder, reliever. That is my Silly Goose MLB play.
Lovely. And also Skyline Chili is really good. Teresa, who's your favorite silly goose player?
This was my favorite question out of all of them because my nickname has been Goose since I've been about 3 years old. So by default, I reached way back and thought of Goose Gossage, of course. But current, Laura, this is going to probably make you happy, but Brent Suter is just the goofiest, most lovable kid ever. He pitched for us in Milwaukee, and he was just an absolute hoot, always doing goofy stuff. And I just love Brent Suter.
Excellent.
All right, Bryce. So now I have to know, who is your favorite silly goose MLB player?
Yeah, so he's retired now, but the Blue Jays had a guy for a while named Minoru Kawasaki, and he was probably the best interview in baseball. I mean, this guy would say the most hilarious things ever. I feel like every now and then I see a video of him talking about how he eats bananas because a monkey never cramps. You know, like I always felt like whenever he was on, like they'd interview him on MLB Network on Intentional Talk when I was a kid a lot. He always just felt like, oh, they're having Kawasaki on. I gotta watch. I gotta pay attention because you never knew what he was gonna say, and it was right when social media was starting to be everywhere too, and so his clips would get passed around. They're still getting passed around to this day. So I feel like, you know, his silly goosiness still has an impact on MLB to this very day.
Definitely, absolutely. As soon as you said his name, I said, "Oh, he eats bananas. Monkey never cramps."
Yeah, what a character.
And Jonathan, who's your favorite silly goose player?
Yeah, I also really liked this one, and my mind just immediately went to Adrian Beltre. I don't know. He obviously retired. He never played for the Cardinals, but man, I tell you, there are just so many long highlight clips of him doing just the dumbest stuff, tickling the guy at first base, taking a hat, just crazy stuff. He just like epitomizes silly goose to me, and it's so funny because he's in the Hall of Fame. He was so good. But he just treated it like a game. I always love that about him.
Perfect. I'm bringing it back to Chris. If you played baseball, what would your walk-up song be?
Werewolves of London.
Excellent. Laura, what would your walk-up song be?
I was driving home from work and I realized it's Wrecking Ball. I came in like a wrecking ball. I never hit so hard in love.
Oh, that's too perfect. Teresa, what would your walk-up song be?
So I'm very notoriously terrible at hearing lyrics in words correctly, so I'm forever butchering them. But there is one song and one song only that I could sing karaoke to because I know every word, breath, pause, everything, and it is The Gambler by Kenny Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Bryce, if you played baseball for your team, what would your walk-up song be?
So it's a little bit outside of the box. I feel like for people it might think for me, but I would have to go with One Kiss by Dua Lipa and Calvin Harris. It's one of my favorite songs ever. It's got a bit of a house music vibe to it. Calvin Harris was in his bag, when I was in like late middle school, early high school. I feel like he was everywhere, and I really love that song. Dua Lipa is one of my favorite artists, and so that song gets me kind of amped, even though it might be a bit outside of the box or weird. But for me personally, that song would get me ready, to hit a tank.
When I walked up to the plate, I would just do that little Dua Lipa shuffle immediately for a few seconds, and that would just put me right in the right mood. So I get it.
Go ahead, girl, give us nothing, or what is what they used to say.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
And Jonathan, what would your walk-up song be?
Yeah, so this is crazy. I actually just found this song like 2 weeks ago, which is nuts because it's by Benson Boone, which I don't know if you know what this is. He's a very recent artist here. It's Mr. Electric Blue. I feel like when I go to the stadium, you like the nostalgic, but I also like something that's like real fun, and it's like, what is this? You hear it and you're like, okay, right?
Are you going to do backflips off the dugout like he does?
I could try.
Excellent. Gorgeous. Now that we've gotten to know you guys a little bit better, I would love to hear what recommended media you've got for us today. So, Chris, would you like to start us off?
Yeah. Well, what I've been reading is by Tom Verducci, The Cubs Way, The Zen of Building the Best Team in Baseball and Breaking the Curse. And when I think of the Zen of baseball, naturally, I would think of Theo Epstein. And I've been enjoying this book because it's giving me, as I'm rediscovering my Cub fandom, I'm learning what the philosophy is that underlies the team, how they make their moves, how they construct their rosters, what they do, just the history of more recent front office moves. It's good stuff to know, and it helps you in forming a perspective when you're thinking about what the team's doing. I've had a lot of fun reading about this. I highly recommend it. Of course, you can't go wrong with Tom Verducci.
Excellent. Laura, are you ready with your recommendation for the Glove? Please?
Well, Chris, that was a beautiful, thoughtful, very intelligent choice. Mine is trash and too obvious. Yeah, I haven't read a book in a while, but I have watched all 3 seasons of Ted Lasso. So I came back to Ted Lasso because Tito is just like Ted Lasso. And I remembered last year when we knew that Tito was coming to Cincinnati. Tito retired from baseball. I was watching an interview that Sal Stewart did. So Sal called up Tito during off season and was basically like, they had a 45-minute phone conversation, and basically Sal was saying like, what can I do for you? And Tito's response was very Ted Lasso like. He wanted him to find it within himself, these choices that would make him be a better man and a better player. Players will show up and play hard for a coach that is that likable. And some of the background characters are just really nice, diverse, that show up and support each other. And that is what I see at the end of 2025 is a coach that is happy and smiling, and he wants his players happy, and they show up and they work hard for him.
And Teresa, are you ready with your recommendation?
I am. So there is a movie called Just a Bit Outside, the story of the 1982 Milwaukee Brewers. Last year, the day before we left to come out here for fantasy camp was when we lost the late, great Bob Uecker. And there was a gray cloud over camp, of course, and over our whole season a little bit. But one of the nights that we were out here, it had already been out in theaters, but they we did a private screening of it, and they brought the director and the producer and a couple of the guys from the team back. And it was the only time we have been to the World Series, and we lost it in Game 7 against the Cardinals. To bring back some of the guys and reminisce, Bob is in the movie a whole lot. That was planned even prior to Bob's passing. There's such great clips, videos inside Old County Stadium, and it's just nostalgic. And even though we didn't win, the city of Milwaukee threw them a parade. And I thought of it when Toronto lost in Game 7 this year. And I think I would not have thought of that if it weren't for that. So
That's cool.
It's just a fantastic movie. It came when we needed it the most.
All right. So Bryce, what did you bring us as your recommended media for the week?
Yeah, so my recommended media for the week, it's a movie filmed in Pittsburgh, actually. It's the type of movie that probably wouldn't get made today. It's a romantic comedy. It's She's Out of My League from 2010, starring Alice Eve and Jay Baruchel. It's just a sweet, romantic comedy. It's not a masterpiece, but I think it's got heart. They don't make those types of movies really anymore, and if they do, they go direct to streaming, and I don't really see them. So it's like a throwback, just sweet romantic comedy. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere. You could buy it on Apple TV. But, if you want something, to watch with your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, it's a really nice Friday night movie. Get some fast food and watch it. I highly recommend.
Cute. I love that. That's a sleeper hit for sure.
Jonathan, do you want to bring us your recommendation, please?
So, okay, Carlos Beltran was just recently elected to the Hall of Fame. Maybe a little controversial because of some of the Astros stuff. And it's not really well known that he played for the Cardinals for a couple of years and went to the All-Star game with us. He was very good. And my brother, who co-hosts the podcast that we do about the Cardinals, writes for a fan site called Redbird Rants. And he really summarized how it felt to have like a Hall of Famer who posts into your team, not during his prime, but is still like a good player. And we used to text each other all the time about how good he was, or if we would text his last name, our iPhones would just autocorrect it to all caps because we knew he did something like impressive. It's a really quick, easy read, but it was fun to reminisce back on what Beltran in those later years meant to us, which is not something, I don't think you get that perspective on Hall of Fame players very often. So it's just a good recap as to what Beltran meant to the Cardinals in those years. And spoiler, it was kind of a lot because he was really good for us, but it was just kind of a neat little look back, and especially since it was personally, something that I was a part of. So that was cool.
Very nice. Thank you all for sharing. And before we finish up, would any of you guys like to tell the Glovelies where to find you?
You can find me at Northrop on the North Side. We're on YouTube, probably. I don't know all the platforms that we're on, but I know YouTube for sure. And also Baseball Banter. We're trying to represent all 30 teams. So if you're looking for Baseball Banter broadcast for all your baseball stuff.
Excellent.
Well, and you can't find me anywhere because I'm not. This was so outside of my comfort zone. I can't even tell you. And I'm really, really glad that I did it. However, because I have some of the best broadcasters literally drinking beer outside my hotel room door right now about the Brewers, I did tap into some of them this week. So Tim Dillard was kind enough to sit down and talk to me at length. And Tim does Buses, Benches, and Baseball is his podcast. And I would recommend you check that out. So I will name drop that for Tim because he was very generous with his time and helped me kind of prepare, but not over prepare because that's how my mind works. But very lucky to have that this week. So
Bryce, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we wrap up, where can our listeners find you if they want to follow more of your content?
Yeah, at MLB Hall of Good on Instagram. I basically run like a spoof of the Hall of Fame kind of. It's a little goofy, but sometimes we take it serious, So if anybody wants to check that out and see what I do, it would mean a lot to me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here with us, Kamish. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
This is really cool. But if you want to hear more about the Cardinals, you can find us just about anywhere. If you search Redbird Rundown, all the social stuff, you can watch us on YouTube as well. It's myself, my two brothers, and another co-host. So we try to keep it light and fun, also informative into baseball. So. But anyway, this was like just in general really cool to meet all of you and do this.
I would love to take this opportunity to thank everyone for coming in for the panel today to represent your teams from the National League Central Division. And Glovelies, be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, the YouTube now, Spotify podcasts, and subscribe for all of our new episodes posted weekly on Wednesdays. And before we say goodbye to all of you for the week, I would love to hear, what are you looking forward to the most? Who do you hope has fun this week? week. Chris, would you like to start us off one last time?
I'm looking forward to seeing Tatsuya Imai. He's the Japanese pitcher, obviously, that just signed with the Astros. I don't know if you saw the video of him making fun of Trevor Bauer's sword celebration. But I think Imai is going to be a blast to watch this year.
Excellent. Laura, who do you hope has fun this week? What are you looking forward to most?
I really hope that Gavin Lux has a good week. I feel terrible for the guy because he can't unpack a suitcase, and he's a nice guy and he's a great player. And so I'm sending him love and hopes that he has found a solid team to become a part of.
Excellent. And Teresa, who do you hope has fun this week?
Yeah, definitely fastball Freddie Peralta. We're gonna miss him so much in Milwaukee, but he will always be loved. I hope he finds his, and Tobias Myers, he's going as well with him. So I wish nothing but the best for Freddie and his family as they find their new home in New York City.
All right, so just to wrap up, what are you looking forward to the most this week in the world of baseball? Bryce, who do you hope has fun this week?
Who I hope have fun this week? I'm going to go with Robert Brooks. He is a catcher in the Blue Jays organization. He's currently in camp with the Blue Jays. He is probably the first professional baseball player I ever interviewed. I mean, it was many years ago. I had like 100 followers. I sent him a DM. I was like, hey, can I please interview you? And he agreed. And so he's still catching in the Blue Jays organization. He bounces between AA and AAA, but one of the nicest guys in baseball ever, a professional athlete who always takes time for his fans. There's nobody who deserves success more than Robert Brooks, catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. So I hope he has fun this week. I hope he gets in the game, gets a couple hits. He got a hit against the Red Sox the other week. It was awesome to see. Just a guy I really want to see succeed. So I hope Robert Brooks has fun this week.
Oh, nice. I love that.
And Jonathan, who do you hope has fun this week? What are you looking forward to?
I love this moment. I equate it to like, do you know the moment when you wake up, there's like this in between where you don't know if you're really awake or if you're still asleep and everything's like so blissful. And then reality like smacks you like, I got to go to work or whatever. Yeah. Spring training is kind of like that for all these fan bases. I just really like that all teams are super pumped in the spring and we're getting real close to that. I started with Chaim Bloom, so I'm going to end with Chaim Bloom. I hope he has fun trading just a few more people. He's almost there. We only have a couple more guys that would net us some value coming back. So I hope he has a good, fun last couple weeks. That's who I hope has fun.
Excellent. Thank you once again for coming in. This has been such a treat. Thank you, Glovelies, for tuning in for this episode of Glove Actually. I'm Hallie. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week, Glovelies. And as always, be kind, keep it cute, and stay glovely.